Hello, everybody. This is Dupp, and you're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
This is Steve BOWTIE Bryant here. Back in the 90s, I was a pro wrestling photographer for the South, and I released what might have been one of the original sets of indie trading cards. I ran across some of these original sets. They were up in Randall Fanning's attic all this time. PG-13 rookie card, Ricky Morton, George Weingroff as the Sheik, Chris Champion, Reno Riggins, Billy Montana, Gary Valiant, the Scorpion, the Medic, Rick Reynolds, Jeff Daniels, Mephisto and Dante, Ben Jordan, Steve Neely, Marcus Woodrow, Clinton Charisma, Little Farmer John. If you'd like an opportunity to get these cards, contact me now. You can get them for only $49.99. Contact me at stevebowtiebryant at iCloud.com. Get your set now while supplies last.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast, and I'm here as always with guess who? Yeah, you know who, my brother from the same father and mother, Jared Street, the Plastic Sheik. What's up, brother?
Not much, man. How about yourself?
Just another day in paradise, man, doing the thing.
Hey, man, that's putting one foot in front of the other. Sometimes that's what's important.
Yeah, been doing a lot of interviews, got some cool things coming up. Of course, you know, the first thing we got to say today, we've got Jason Stafford, a.k.a. Buzz Dupp, a.k.a. Big Bad John, a.k.a. a great guy. So fun to have him on. I'm excited to get to talk to him, man.
Yeah, man, he's been in a lot of stories we've heard from people in their interviews before. So I'm glad to talk to the man finally, and maybe we can hear his side of some stories.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we got to ask the Jamie Dundee fart story.
Definitely have to ask that.
Yeah. But anyway, that'll be a lot of fun. Of course, last episode we had the awesome, always shooter George Weingroff. That was very cool. George is great. Had a lot of great responses from that. Man, it's weird. I had I would say 2 or 3, maybe even 4 emails about people wanting his contact info for articles they're writing. So I don't know, what's going to happen with that, but it's like 3 or 4 people, I think, emailed me. And so got some response. And it was, it was weird. It was like boom, 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 boom. And they're all non-related. It's like all the dirt sheets, like Sportskeeda and stuff like that. But anyway, so we'll see if George talks to him. He's sometimes a little, he doesn't always want to talk to everybody. So
I can't blame him. I don't either.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but we were very blessed. I've interviewed him 3 times or 2.5 or whatever you want to say, and every time is awesome and every time is appreciated. And we hope y'all enjoyed that one as well. If you're trying to think what else, we got some cool stuff coming up. But one thing I would definitely want to talk about is you and I are going to be in Columbia, Tennessee at the Muletown Mania Fan Fest for a live Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast with the Devils, the Mortons, and the Wild Boys. That's going to be a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, it should be a good time. I'm excited to meet a lot of the people we've talked to in these interviews. And, maybe set up some for the future too. So. Oh
yeah, I'm sure that won't be a problem. But it's funny because the day is going to be a long day. The day starts with the Right Way reunion, which is a reunion Shane's been having for 5 or 6 years now, and I've never been able to go, and so we're going to get to go to that. And then of course after that, there's going to be a massive signing with a lot of local stars. So many you can't even mention them, honestly, but definitely people that you'll want to see and meet and and talk to and get autographs from and good stuff like that. And then of course at 4:30 we start our live podcast with the 3 of those teams, including our buddy Rick Reynolds as Forsaken, Damien, whatever you want to call him, And and then they are going to wrestle later that night in a 14-man tag team that is going to be one for the ages. I just hope it doesn't start early with us. That's all I hope not. That's all I can ask for. But anyway, so what's going on with you, man?
Not much, man. Just hoping the springtime gets here and stays. It's got this warm, cool thing. Hope to get it. Hope to get more on the warm side. But I can't complain, man. Just living life.
Yeah, it's like the thermometer. You're like heat, cool, heat, cool, heat, cool. Stuff like that. Or just find a happy medium. And
there you go.
Live there. But anyway, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get Buzzy on.
All right, man. Let's do it.
All right, we'll be right back after these messages with Buzz Dupp on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Hey guys, this is Wolfie D from PG-13. Check out my podcast, Live and in Color with Wolfie D, every Monday at noon. We're talking Memphis, we're talking ECW, WCW, WWF, everywhere that I've been. We even have some great guests, some Hall of Famers on the show with us. Every Monday, Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Join me, Gene Jackson, for the Jackson Interaction Podcast, where I'll be doing one-on-one interviews with people from the world of professional wrestling, as well as stand-up comedy. You can get them anywhere podcasts are available in both video and audio form, but you can find them all at GeneJacksonPod.com.
This is Kroll, and you're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling with Jimmy Street and Jarrett the Plastic Sheik. Be sure to like, subscribe, and view all of our USWO and Saw Wrestling content at Nashville Wrestling Network, exclusively on YouTube.
All right, we are back with Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. And man, oh man, Jared, I told the people, right? I told them, right? We've got a very special... I told them we have a very special guest today. One of the guys that has been on the list forever, and for some reason we haven't made it happen until today. But today is the most important, right? Because you can't bring back yesterday, and tomorrow we don't know what's going to happen today. So, Buzzy, you are the king of today. Welcome to the show, Buzzed Up. Thank you, brother.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. Very humbling that I been listening to the show, and just to hear guys that I've helped in the business, and then guys that helped pave the way, and also showed me a lot. Taught me the business. Spoke so highly of me, and so it's very humbling. So I'm glad to be here, guys.
Dude, glad to have you, man.
Yeah, it's great to have you, Buzzy. All right, well, let's kick it off with the Plastic Sheik's favorite question. Take it away, Sheik.
All right, Buzz. So this is going to let the audience know a little bit about your influences and maybe who your favorite wrestlers were. But if you had a Mount Rushmore, and you can give me 4 or 5 guys in the business that are like your top, that's the beacon you look to as far as wrestling, who would be your list?
Well, I would not be in the business today if it wasn't for some yellow polka dots, Dusty Rhodes.
No.
So, I patented a lot of my early moveset from him. So definitely he's top of the mountain. He's top of the mountain for me. Then I'd have to go with the Road Warriors. Loved them guys growing up. I actually got to meet them when they did their little brief TNA, run here. So that was awesome. I grew up on Memphis, TV. So got to throw Lawler in there, and then got to throw Dundee in there as well. So probably those 4.
That's awesome.
That's an awesome list, man.
Yeah,
nobody can argue with that.
No, not a bit. Honestly, I'll still say it. One of the greatest matches I've ever seen was Lawler Dundee in that loser leaves town match. And man, oh man, they are both fighting like they do not want to leave. And there's something about that is so pure and simple, but so perfect. I don't know what it is. It's just that Memphis fire, man,
Yes, most definitely. You can't, if you should make every match look like you're trying to win. It kills me to watch some guys these days, it's like, well, that wasn't the finish. Well, whatever, you're supposed to be trying to win,
Right.
If you was in if you was in a real fight, you're not going to, you're not just going to go, well, here, man, I'm not ready to hit you with everything I got yet because, it needs to go a little longer. No, you fight to win.
Amen.
Yeah.
I mean, kids, right there, we could end this show right there, and y'all just got some knowledge dropped on you. So thank you for that, man. So, Buzz, tell us about your younger days. Where were you born? Where'd you go to high school? Stuff like that.
I was born in Smith County, Tennessee, Carthage. I was raised in a small town of Hartsfield, Tennessee, Trousdale County. I went to school there, graduated in 98, and kind of once I left there, once I graduated, I left and, didn't return for a few years. So,
yeah.
But, Trousdale County is home, so that it will always be home.
Yeah. What about sports in high school, man? You look like a big old defensive lineman.
I played junior high ball, and then I blew my knee out when I was 13, and pretty much after that, I was just like, man, I don't want to play anything anymore, because that hurt,
Yeah,
so.
No doubt, man. Yeah, no doubt. When did you start liking wrestling?
My earliest memory of wrestling was my great-grandfather. Again, Hartsfield, Tennessee, they used to have wrestling at Ped's Auditorium. Right there, which was in the center of town, and it was a skating rink at one time, but it was built on a creek bank, and so the floor had been warped, so they couldn't really use it as a skating rink anymore. But they had wrestling there, and I think I was maybe 7 or 8 years old when he took me, and it was just and I remember vividly this one guy. And kind of caught my interest there, but he's a big old built up guy, and he wore overalls, and his name was L.C. Shoulders, and just a local guy, come to find out years later, I was actually kin to him down the line. It was like third, fourth cousins, I believe. So it was just cool for that. But that's my earliest memory right there, and then of course, I found it on TV, one Saturday morning before baseball, before Little League. I, found it on TV and got hooked, ever since. So yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah, I mean it's like a drug, right? A very young. It's like when we first try Mountain Dew or something, or we try first try. Yeah, it's one of the worst drugs I've ever tried in my life, and I pull back the curtain a little bit. I've tried quite a few, so. Yeah.
You can't get it out of your system. I've tried too, man. I know.
I'm still trying to get out of my system. So, I doubt I will. So
tell me if you do, and tell me how you did it. Okay, so
I will.
All right, Buzz. So tell us about your start in wrestling. Like who trained you and all that stuff.
I was trained by a guy. Real name's Michael Satterfield. He wrestled as Young Desperado. A friend of the family kind of thing, we met through baseball and all that, and I would go to shows with him and record for him, and just constantly, man, he let me get you into it, and he let me get you into it, and I started doing that when I was 8, when I first graduated high school, and then I was like, I just kind of fought it, and then, I think I was like 21, and then he caught me on the right day, and he was like, man, you ready to start training? I was like, you know what? Actually, I think I am. Because I was working at a warehouse in Gallatin, and another guy there that was a huge wrestling fan, and we had talked. He had talked and wanted to get into it, so we were going to say, hey, I know a guy, and so we started training there. But then he got hurt, and I was just too stupid to stop. So.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah. So, what was your first match? And was it a promotion or anything?
My first match was actually a battle royal for a company called MTWA. They were based out of Sparta, Smithville area, but they would run a few other spot shows here and there up in that area. But my first show was a fundraiser for the Lafayette, for the Macon County football team, I believe. It might not have been a fundraiser. It might have just been a show. But they were running it at the Macon County gym. and the old gym.
Okay.
It was a battle royal. So
that's cool.
My parents actually came, and I'll never forget the look on her face, because the way I was eliminated was I took a backdrop over the top rope, and she about come unglued and said that she didn't want to see that no more. So but it scared her to death. So,
well, I mean, it is a little scary for yourself too, going out of the ring like that sometimes if you're not used to it. Yeah,
most definitely.
Yeah.
So
some guys can do it like a ballerina, man. They're just like hook that rope. Shawn Michaels is so good at it, where he just hooks that rope and flips over. And of course, he's one of the greatest of all time. So that's kind of a hard comparison for your first match, but still, what I mean.
I did not know how to hook, so I kind of went flying, but I was able to. I didn't land on my back, thank goodness. The guy didn't really get me up and over too well. He kind of just me over the top rope, and I hit the apron and bounced off. So it wasn't too bad, but still scared my mom to death.
Yeah, so I was in one battle royal at Saw, and it was an angle that we were working where Nick Nitros was trying. I was trying to win my guys, whoever I managed. We had a losing streak, right? And I was trying to win however it needed. So I said, "Screw it, I'm going to jump in the ring myself." I got in the battle royal, and here comes Nick Nitros running after me, and I didn't realize, the Saw ring was shorter, right? It was not as tall. The apron wasn't as tall, and I did a little springboard deal where you how people jump in the ring. But anyway, I did that going outside of the ring and about straddled the barricade. I was man, it's going to be ugly. Yeah. And somebody in the back was like, "Man, I didn't know you could jump like that." And I was like, "Yeah, I can sometimes."
Yes, sometimes. Yes.
Yeah.
When I have to.
Yeah, when I have to. Yeah. But okay, so this is something that's always made me curious. First of all, the Buzzed Up name is probably, honestly, my favorite wrestling name in all of that I've ever known, because at the time that you knew me, that would have fit me as well. But when it comes down to it, where did you come up with that name? Who named you that? Was it any relation to the Dupps? That was the tag team. What? Tell me about that.
Actually, no, it's not any relation to them.
Okay.
Even though I have been, confused with that part, and
sure.
Some people I smarten up, some people I just let them believe whatever they want to believe,
Right.
But that when I first broke in, the guy that trained me actually gave me the name Southern Hillbilly, and I was there. I broke in with Tim Scruggs in Gallatin, Tennessee. That was where I really broke in. Like I said, my first match was with the MTWA, the Battle Royal. But then, like a week or two later, I went to Gallatin with him and with Tim Scruggs, and we started a little program with me and him. Basically, he just beat me up for the next 3 months, and and whatever. But I was there for about a year, maybe a year and a half, and then I left. Did bad business, I'm not gonna lie. I was green and didn't know how to leave, so I just didn't show up one week. I should have, but I was actually I left Kevin Jones. He got us booked for Lee Condrey, and Lee was running the Armory in Smyrna, Tennessee.
Okay.
And I was coming in as a heel. I was going to be working with Kevin, and we were headed to the show and everything, and I was like, man, I can't be that. I can't be Southern Hillbilly. That's not a heel. That's not a heel name.
Yeah.
And we were partaking in a few extracurricular activities, and on the road, and then I just remember just looking at him going, man, I am effed up. And then we just kind of played back and forth with that, and then boom, Buzzed Up was born, and that's what I was for 16, for solid 16 years, and then, now I still, but I put Buzz Up every now and then because he's, he can kind of be a character, and get me in trouble. So I have to put him in the closet every time. So
understand.
That's how that comes out,
That's cool.
And until today, only a select few people know that.
Wow. So this was a breaking news deal, huh? That's awesome.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, for the masses, yes. Now, select few, handful of people know the origin, but yes, today kind of pulled back the curtain completely.
I love it, man. Thank you for that exclusive, brother. That's awesome. So you end up in USWO working for Tony and LT there. Talk about when you got there. How did that feel, and meeting Tony and you may have did you know LT from back when you worked with Tim Scruggs? I guess probably.
I did not. I did not know LT. I don't remember Tony ever being. I mean, I remember Tony being there, but man, I was so green. I knew to go in and shake hands, but I also knew to find my seat and sit down and shut up. And listen. So, I always normally tried to find who I was working with that night and sit kind of close to them. And I did not know, but when I got there, meeting Tony was awesome. He was so welcoming and thanked me. He loved me, but I think he loved me because he was able to sell me to the crowd to get beat on. I think I had so many raffles. I'd get to a show and he'd come out to me and he'd say, "Buzz, I need to. You care if I raffle? You take 5 licks with the belt. And, whatever you need, Tony. Whatever you need, Tony. So
yeah.
But that was, and I wasn't there too long. Like I said, I kind of got let go by no fault of my own. I was just with a person who pissed the office off, and they were like, "You got to leave too." And so I left, because that's what I was told, but so I wasn't there too long, but I think I was there longer than I actually realized, because I keep seeing matches pop up that it's like, wow, I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, memories are funny things, right? So.
Yeah. But I will tell you this, Tony, every time that I see Tony, it's a handshake and a hug, and he puts me over like I was $1 million and thanks me for, everything I ever did for him. And, it makes me feel like I was there from day one to the last day. And, I may have been there for 6 months, or something. So.
Right.
Talk about working Yukon Jack at SWF.
Well, I love Yukon. He can, he's a character for sure. Every match was always good. He would kind of get a little sidetracked with some things, but, I love Yukon. He don't like me no more, but I love him to death. So, just kidding.
Did you get that from Rick Reynolds? That sounds like a Rick Reynolds thing.
I did.
Every show I have, Rick will call me and he'd be like, "Jimmy, that was a good show, brother." He doesn't like me, but I love him.
He don't like me.
Gotta love Rick, man. So speaking of Rick, you start going up to Chicago, and you're going up there for CCW. I know it turns into POW and Jimmy Blaze and stuff, but talk about how you got that. Talk about what was your connection to get up to Chicago.
It was actually Rick. Rick had brought those guys down, and they were at Porter's at Freddy's, and I personally don't remember speaking with Jimmy Blaze or Dave Storm at the time about the book, and I just remember being told, I think Mikey Woods is the one that said, "Hey man, we got, we're going to Chicago," or maybe Rick, I don't really remember, but that's how Rick was our in up there. And
I figured.
The first trip was just me and Mikey, because Rick couldn't be there, and so we drove up, and We left at night because I always anytime I had to go more than a couple hours, I wanted to leave. I'd never been to Chicago before, so I didn't know what to expect. So I knew it was an 8-hour drive. So we left Murfreesboro at 11 p.m. on the Friday night before the show.
Okay.
And all I knew is we were supposed to call Dave when we got into town, and he was going to meet us at the Wakanda motel. It was a motel, it wasn't a hotel. It was only like 7 rooms.
Okay.
And he was going to get us a room. So that was the first trip. It was a very long drive because I wound up having to drive most of the trip. Because one, at the time, Mikey didn't have a driver's license, and the guy that he got to drive us up there got us lost.
Oh man.
I took off driving, and we got just past Indianapolis, and dude was asleep in the back, and I woke him up, and I said, "Hey man, I need you to drive for a couple hours." And I remember waking up, and we were in Gary, Indiana, but he went the wrong way.
Oh,
now
man.
back then we didn't have GPS on the phones.
Right.
Then, it was MapQuest.
Right.
You had to MapQuest directions and read it,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And all I knew is Gary, Indiana was not a place you wanted to be lost in.
No.
I had heard that much, and so I made him pull. I just stop. Just pull over right here.
Yeah.
Let me go to the next exit. No, sir, you stop right now. And I got in the car, got us back going anyway. Drove the rest of the trip, and then, but I had to drive back. The drive back was the worst because I was so hungover.
Yeah.
They got us so. Had a very good time, very good show. We worked. Me and Mikey tagged, and we worked with Chris Cairo and a kid named did a Hawaii gimmick. Kanoa, I think I probably butchered his name. I don't know, but I remember Chris Cairo and that other kid, and that's who we worked. And the finish was we backdropped them over the top rope, and they did the old school rules to where that was a disqualification if you threw your opponent over the top rope. And I thought that was very cool. I did too. I thought that was very cool at that time.
Yeah. So, yeah. I like that a lot. So I know this may be out of time, but hey, we're just throwing it in the wind right now. And we cannot bring Rick Reynolds up without saying the simple word. Do you want to say it with me, Buzz?
Stab.
Yeah. Can you tell me that story?
I listened to his episode, and I don't remember it starting the way but I mean, if he's old, so if he says that's the way it started, that's the way it started. But,
I did not say that, Rick. I did not say that.
I remember him saying it because I called him old. And what's crazy is I got to thinking about this the other day after me and you had talked and everything, and I knew this was going to come up. And
yeah, cool.
I am almost the age that he was at the time I started calling him old. I will be 45 in August. Wow. And I think he was right about that age when I first started calling him old. So that's the way I remember the story. That's the way I remember it going. But now, he can beat me up legitimately. So if he says if the way he said it, that's how it started, then that's what I'll go with. But
that's the one we're going with.
That's the one we're going with for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man, Rick's a great guy. He's one of my favorite people, honestly, and we talk almost weekly. We try to, at least, so.
Mine too. He saved my life on more than one occasion, and I don't know if he really realizes it.
Yeah.
But he was kind of my lighthouse in some dark times.
Yeah.
With just a phone call, and he gave me a place to stay, and he actually offered me a job because I was not doing anything. I was on a bad stretch, and he actually offered me. He was like, "Hey, I need somebody to drive me to Atlanta," because he was doing the expediting thing. Yeah. But he was running a route during the day, and then he would drive the film to Atlanta at night. Well, it was getting too much to where he couldn't, So he was like, I'll give you, I think it was $150, and I worked 2 days a week for him, and I would stay there at his house when he lived in Laverne at the time.
Yeah,
I would stay there, and then he let me do a little bit of PI work for him as well, and he really, like I said, he saved my life on more than a couple of times.
That's awesome.
I will wear orange jumpsuit over that man for the rest of my life. So.
That's a great way to say it, actually, man. That means that that means a lot for sure, man. So I want to kind of just bring some names up, and I really don't want to get in the way of your story. So if something comes up, please tell me to stop. You got something. But some of the names you got to work up there, like Scott Spade, Chris Michaels, Chuck Taylor, who's in AEW now. You worked the New Age Assassins with Tim Renesto. You Lone Star, Tracy Smothers, Mitch Ryder. I mean, you worked all these great names while you were working up there.
Well, the Scott was with CCW or PAL. Now, you may be thinking, I worked for the Coliseum in Evansville, and they were CCW as well.
Oh,
they were
okay.
Coliseum Championship Wrestling. Now, Scott was the only one that I worked for PAL, what is PAL now?
Gotcha,
which was originally Classic Championship Wrestling. So that, and I have not wrestled. I've only wrestled for PAL one time, and that was, That was for a like a I don't want to say legend show, please. That was for like a reunion type show. They brought in all those CCW guys, and I rode up there with Shane, and me and him tagged and worked with Rick, and I want to say Rick and Scott, if I'm not mistaken. But all those other names, Tracy, Mitch Ryder, all those guys, Chuck Taylor, I worked.
Everybody says that.
Ricochet, I love Ricochet to death. I worked with those guys. Were at the Evansville Coliseum. All those guys, Tracy, Mitch Ryder,
gotcha.
Lone Star, which I know Lone Star from Gallatin.
Wow.
I met Lone Star before he lost all the weight. When I first met Lone Star, he was 400. I mean, he was huge. He just come off doing the Moondog Star gimmick. He was still doing that. He had the bone and everything. But the Coliseum was a good time. Learned a lot, lost a lot, but
man, the names you worked there, dude, I mean, seriously, are legends, man. I mean, Chris Michaels alone is a legend. Tracy Smothers, man. So, I mean, I'm sorry about the mix-up there, but you can understand how I did that.
Yes, it's a lot of people get it mixed up.
Yeah, so then, talk about Tracy, man. Talk about working with him.
Tracy, I knew Tracy. I met Tracy in... First time I ever met Tracy was in McMinnville at the old cheese factory.
Okay.
I met him and Chris Champion on the same night, and I'm gonna say this and but I didn't know who Tracy. I didn't know who anybody was. Like I said, I grew up on Memphis. I watched wrestling.
Sure.
But I didn't really keep up with it. I wasn't into the tape trading. Wasn't into all that. So when I met Tracy, I asked Tracy. But I met him at the cheese factory. And I remember I come in, and I was already there. Mike Jablonski got us booked up there, and we went up there, and I was sitting in the locker room, and Tracy comes in and sits down beside me and introduces himself, and then starts asking me questions, hey, how long you been working? How long, you got a shoot job? And I remember that vividly because I remember him asking me what I did for a living, and I told him I worked at a warehouse, and he said, "Good." He said, "Because you're going to need a shoot job to support your wrestling habit."
Yeah.
Because your wrestling habit is going to support any other habit that you got.
Right.
And I didn't really understand that at the time until about 4 or 5 years later. I remember because I used to pick Tracy up in Nashville and take him to Evansville. He used to ride with me to Evansville.
Yeah.
And I remember I picked him up, and I told him that one time, and he remembered asking me that, and remembered telling me that, and I was like, Tracy, I want you to know how true those words were. I didn't understand them until here recently, and I can't say enough about Tracy that hasn't already been said. I mean, he's if you had the chance to pick his brain and you didn't, then you were a fool.
Yeah.
Amen. If you didn't like him, then you was an idiot, in my opinion. Because I mean, if Tracy liked you, he took the time and helped you. And I knew he liked me because he helped me every chance he could. And just being on the road with him for a couple of years, because he eventually did move to Indiana. But just picking him up, I used to pick him and Chris Michaels up at the exit, Jolton exit in Springfield, at the McDonald's right there. I would pick them up. Me and Mikey would meet me at work, and then we would go and pick them up, and then go up, And I remember I was always told to get to the show about an hour early.
Yeah.
I remember picking Tracy up. Tracy was late, and by no fault of his own, just life.
Right.
And but I remember him getting there, and I mean it was late, and I knew how long it took from the time, and I was like, oh man, we ain't gonna get there till like 7:20, and he was like, you're good, man, don't worry about it. I'd been in the business maybe 2-3 years at that, I mean I hadn't been in long, so I was still scared to get to a show late, and
Amen.
And Tracy called me. He was like, man, you're good. I'll take the heat. It's me, and he, like I say, he was one of those guys. If it was his fault, he would take the heat and say, hey, it's my fault, not these guys here. So,
well, Wolfie's taught me this. He says either be so early that you beat everybody there, or be so late that they're happy to see you. And they know that one. Yeah.
Jamie taught that one about going home to your old lady. He said either be early that they're happy you're there, or be so late that they're just glad to see you.
I mean, that's just the truth. That's a universal truth, man.
Most definitely.
Thank God you're alive. We were so worried.
Yes.
So
next.
Yeah, you're on next. Your music's playing. Oh my God. Yeah. I've got to ask this question real quick. So on my research, I noticed that there was a tag team that you were in called Fully Loaded with Pothead John. Now, obviously, Buzzed Up and Pothead John together makes sense to be in a tag team called Fully Loaded. Talk about that a little bit.
That was, I moved to Evansville in 2006, and kind of out of necessity. Again, I wasn't really, the best person back then, and I needed a change. They always say I felt 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot out of the grave. That's how off the rails I was.
Yeah.
And so I moved up there and started wrestling there weekly, and there is a guy up there called Pothead John, and Lone Star put us together, and I come up with the name, and because I had a shirt that just said Fully Loaded. I was wearing it, before we got in the tag team.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is it right here, Fully Loaded. We come out to Sublime, smoke 2 joints.
Yeah.
So, because Evansville was, by the time I got there, was Party Central. I mean, that you could find. You can find pretty much whatever you can find pretty much whatever you wanted there. It's sad to say, but
A to Z.
A to Z and backwards also. So, but it had its brief little deal, and I remember we got left off the card because Pothead was not very good. I mean, love him to death, great guy, but he was not very good, and he had screwed up couple times so bad that Lone Star left us off the card, and talk to Lone Star, because like I said, I'd known him a long time. I mean, he's the one that first brought, you know, myself and Mikey up there to Evansville. And so I asked him, I was like, brother, I live here now. Why aren't you, you know, well, Buzzy, you're in that tag team, and I can't have y'all out there if he's gonna screw it up. And I was like, okay, all right, cool. So I was like, well, just give us one more shot, you know. So he did. He put us on the following week, and of course, John messed up again. Something real simple, and you know, and it just went all over me. And we got downstairs, and he was just laughing and cutting up like, you know, everything was fine. And I snapped. I don't show my emotions too much, you know. I mean, I always just kind of just, like I said, I was taught to keep your mouth shut and speak when spoken to, you know. But, you know, the fact that, you know, the fact that, you know, he just acted like he didn't care, you know, and just like, you know, I'm Pothead John, you know, whatever. And I remember snapping and just cussing him out, you know, and Lone Star was in where the booker always, if you were the booker for Evansville, you had a certain stall in the locker room that they stayed in. And I remember him, you know, and after that, you know, the locker room just kind of was quiet, you know, and then I remember Lone Star opened up the door and, you know, telling me to come here and everything, and he was like, you want to turn heel? I said, abso-freaking-lutely. You know, abso-freaking-lutely. So turned heel and did a little deal with him. Did a little deal with Pothead for about a month, I guess. And so.
Yeah, I saw y'all worked a lot together after that without the tag team. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Buzz. So there's a story I think Shane Morton told us about Jamie. We mentioned him a while ago, and a legendary fart or something like that.
Oh Lord, yes, it was. So we were, and we picked Jamie up in Louisville, I believe, and we were going, and I remember we stopped to get breakfast, and went into McDonald's, and everybody got their food and everything, and we were eating, and Jamie. Now we drove up, and Shane had a pickup truck that kind of had it was an extended cab, but it wasn't a very big extended. It wasn't like the nice new, you know, extended cabs they got now to where you got plenty of room. So, but it was Shane driving, Stephen Brady in the middle, and then Mikey in the front, passenger side. Then there was this goof named Cameron behind Mikey, then Jamie, and then I was behind Shane. So we're going, and yes, Jamie lets one go, and I mean it was one of them that sounded like a machine gun.
Oh, and, so it was loud too. I was worried it was.
Yeah. No, I heard it. I knew what, you know. So I was sitting back there, and I mean it hits me, and I'm like, oh my God. I looked at Jamie. I was like, God, dog, dude, you're nasty. And so I see Shane. You know, he starts doing the old heaving, you know, the you know, and then so yes, so he starts doing that, you know, and then next thing I know, he's rolling his window down, and he's throwing up in his hand and throwing it out the window, you know, throwing it out the window. Well, I'm right behind him. So his window's all the way down. So as he's throwing it out, the wind is catching it and bringing it back in.
Oh my gosh!
So all I have is a Yu-Gi-Oh towel, just a towel, and so I'm hiding behind it. You know, it's just so I do not get hit with. Shane had sausage burritos from McDonald's, so so I'm not getting hit with sausage burrito pieces. You know, and of course Jamie's laughing, and Shane it gets so bad Shane has to pull over. Now, you know, and I know, you know, Shane gets out and finishes doing what he's doing, and then you know, I'm trapped. I can't go nowhere because it's one of those trucks that then everybody has to slide, that's in the back has to slide out through the passenger side.
Right, okay.
So I'm trapped, you know. So, but Mikey and Steven get out because Steven is puking.
Yeah.
You know, now I don't. Mikey says he didn't puke. I don't know. You know, but the other dude, the other goof, Cameron, he's puking, and Jamie's just back there rolling. Of course, I'm trapped, you know, just like, oh my God, what are we doing? What's going on? And all I remember Jamie going is, well, guys, it's just a little old popcorn fart. What's wrong with y'all? Just a little popcorn. You know, you think somebody let off some tear gas or something, you know? And I'm like, golly, bro, that's nasty. So, yes, it was that was a very it was a very fun road trip, but also a very long road trip too. So
yeah, no doubt. It's funny because, you know, Jamie and Wolfie quit riding together for a long time, and mainly probably because they're two different kinds of people. But I wonder if Wolfie's also smelled that gas before. So
it was bad. It was bad. I mean, I don't know what he had eat. I don't know what he had eat leading up to that day, but good Lord.
Yeah, my God. And so were y'all going up there to work for Absolute Entertainment? Is that what it was?
Gary the Freak. Yeah, it was for Gary the Freak. I'm not for sure what the name of the promotion was. It's been a lot of hazy days and chair shots, my friend. So
hazy days, and that's a T-shirt right there, Buzz. Come on, man.
Yeah. Hazy days and chair, dude.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And that's a shoot. That's been a lot of hazy days back in the
I think that shirt would sell out.
Check Pro Wrestling Tees very soon. You'll see it.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, I think it was Absolute Entertainment. We their first show. I only went to 2 shows. Their first show, we actually hauled them the ring. The first show. And that's why we had to leave so early, because we had to get the ring up there. So because they had bought the ring from Devon Domain.
Okay.
And so Shane brought it up there, and everything. The first show was in Grayland that I was a part of was in Grayland, Michigan, which is up to the top left-hand corner.
Okay.
I know it was 12 hours one way from Nashville, I think.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it was there. Monty Brown was actually on that show, and so was Zach Gowan. I actually got to tag with Zach Gowan and another guy, James, and I worked Shane and 2 other guys. And that was the story to where, I don't know if Shane told it or not, but Zach wanted to be the one to go over, and Shane said, nope, I'm taking the splash off the top from Buzz. And so that was what we did.
Gotcha.
Zach Gowan was not a happy man until he found out people had Percocets, and then he was perfectly.
You got Percocets? Well, can I have Percocets? Yeah. So it looks like you end up coming back to USWO a little bit after that, and you work guys like Shane Eden and then the fart man himself, Jamie Dundee. Talk about working those 2 guys. I would love to hear matches stories.
Jamie was. Jamie, I mean, if you can't have a good match with Jamie, then you just need to stop your stuff and get out.
Exactly. Wrap it up. Yeah.
Shane Eaton was one of those guys that was sometimes hard to work with, just depending on where he was at in his head, whether or not he was just drinking or on something else. But he was always, you know, he was always very nice, and him and Hammerjack both. I worked with them too, you know. But I knew James, like when I got to Porter's. After I left USWO, the first time was they were shooting TV at the Inferno Bar in Murfreesboro on Tuesday nights. I'd met Jamie then, and he just got out of prison. He was doing the convict gimmick.
Yeah.
And I'd met Jamie that night, the very first night that I went down there. I'd met Jamie, and I didn't meet him. I remember sitting at the table. I was dressed and sitting there. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know who I was working with or anything. I was just waiting for somebody to come tell me what I was doing. And so Jamie walks past me, and he's sitting at the bar. The Inferno Bar was a 2-level bar. I don't know if you ever knew about the Inferno Bar, Jimmy, but
I don't think so.
It was a 2-level bar. The top bar was painted like heaven. You know, blue wall. What was going to be? I don't know if they ever opened it or not. Was going to be blue walls, clouds. You know, well, the Inferno bar, the part that they actually shot the TV in, was painted like hell. Red walls, black, just really, really dark. And so we were sitting up there. Well, Jamie went up, talked to, I think Wolfie was there. I know Ashley Hudson was there. And then there was a few other guys sitting there. And I remember Jamie going up to them guys and going, check this guy's out. What a perfect tag team partner for Jamie Dundee, buzzed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the first time I met Jamie without meeting Jamie then.
Yeah.
I didn't meet Jamie until I guess I was back at Tony's for a little bit. After that, I didn't remember going back to Tony's, but I do remember I didn't really meet Jamie until Tony's. Like when we actually got to sit and talk, and I took him home one night. And that was an adventure.
Yeah, I bet.
Saturday, May the 11th, 2024, the biggest pro wrestling event in Columbia, Tennessee's history. Muletown Mania Fan Fest. Over 50 wrestlers from the past and present going to be there for the meet and greet from 2:30 to 5:30. Also that night, TriStar Wrestling has a huge card already signed. Doors open at 6 for that. Bell time will be 7 p.m. You're not going to want to miss it. A huge card already signed. Also, Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling will be in the house that night doing a Q&A with the Devils, the Wild Boys, and the Mortons from 4:30 to 5:30. Also, you have Kayfabe. They're your toy collectibles and wrestling memorabilia dealers. They're going to be in the house. Also, we've got the Devil's Disciples. Mephisto and Dante will be there. The Wild Boys, Ben Jordan and Steve Neely. The Monster, Forsaken. The Falks, Tony Falk and LT Falk. The Morton brothers, Steve and Shane Morton. The Smoking Buds, Cody and David Morton. Jerry Lynn and Virginia Morton. Hot Rod Biggs. Jeff the Crippler Daniels and Dominique will be there. Debbie Combs, Lady Superstar. Sunny Street will be in the house. Luscious Quentin Charisma. One half of Booty Call, Brian Turner. Mad Max. Cowboy Billy Montana, Scott Spade and Mistress Misery, Superstar Mikey Dunn, Devious G, Johnny Bandana and Ryder Anderson, The New Era, Tavon Jordan, D'Amico Graves, the one and only Majestic, Mr. Entertainment, Yukon Jack, yours truly, Pat Dooley, DJ R, Danny Pig, The Voice, Kane D, Pretty Boy, Preston Adams, plus many, many more. The meet and greet will be $15 if you buy your ticket in advance, $20 at the door. TriStar Wrestling that night, $10 if you buy your ticket in advance, $12 if you buy it at the door. This is a huge night, Saturday night, May the 11th, 2024, in Columbia, Tennessee, at the National Guard Armory at 844 North James Campbell Boulevard. It's going to be the place to be for the best wrestling action around. Come and meet some of your local stars, some of your favorite people, some of your least favorite people from your past and present. This is going to be an opportunity that you're not going to want to miss. This is going to be well worth the price of admission alone just for the meet and greet. And then TriStar Wrestling that night, biggest wrestling event ever signed in Columbia, Tennessee.
So when did we meet, man? I know it was 2014. I remember working with you at SAW. Is that when we officially met, or did we meet before that, man?
No, I've been trying to rack my brain about that. And I think I asked Plunkett, and I think he agreed that it was that time because I was gone from 06 to 2013. I'd moved to Evansville from that amount of time. I mean, I was kind of back here, but I was mainly in Evansville for the most part for that part of time. Anyway, but yeah, 2014, I would say I just got back from the circus. I took a job as a marketing director for Cole Brothers Circus. I first moved back to Tennessee in 2013, but I was only here for maybe 2 months before I went on the road with the circus as a marketing director.
That's cool, man. And that was with the Dundees, right? They were in that group.
Bill was. Jamie was already out of it. Bill was still there. Bill's actually who got me the shot. Jamie knew that I was looking for something and asked me would I be interested in it, and I was like, yeah. And then Bill had called me and talked to me about it, and kind of told me what to expect, and then set me up with the lady that was going to do the interview, which they flew me to Orlando, and I never left the. I tell everybody, I've been to Orlando, but I never left the airport. I didn't. She met me at the airport, and I take that back. We did go have lunch, but then we went right back to the airport, and I got back on site. I was in Orlando maybe 2 hours.
Gotcha. Okay.
Total.
Okay.
So, and then I started there. Started in Lumberton, North Carolina. I met Randy Hales there, and Randy Hales is the one that trained me on how to do the marketing director job and what I needed to do and all that. So I spent about a month with Randy Hales, just, with him.
Trying to finish one sentence? No, I'm just kidding. Randy, so, Jason.
Yeah. But he did teach me a lot about promoting as well.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. That's awesome.
That was about the time that I think Jeff was fixing to start that Global Force.
Yeah.
So I was in the car with some conversations that I probably shouldn't have been privy to,
Right.
Was told to kayfabe, and I kayfabed up until this point. So.
That's pretty good, man. Yeah.
Right.
Tell us about, you were talking about Plunkett earlier. Tell us about the Peacemakers tag team with Plunkett.
That gimmick, well, we were tagging, and we were kind of going back and forth on different tag names. And I remember we were both watching on Netflix this show. We were hooked on this show, Winona Earp.
Yeah, great show. Yeah.
And so, she had the Peacemaker, and that was what we landed on. But tagging with Plunkett, it didn't matter what we called ourselves. It was a good time. He's actually been a lifesaver as well throughout my life. I've had a bunch of lifesavers throughout my life. So
man, that's good. Yeah, and that's a good thing to call friends, man, when you can have a friend that you can call a lifesaver. And Plunky's definitely, man, he's an OG. To me, I could write a book about how much I like Plunky, man. So, he's forgiven and forgotten more than he should have, and I appreciate him for it. So,
oh, most definitely. My end as well.
Yeah. So it looks like you kind of are just working around, and then up here recently, you actually worked Danny Koppas at Southern Wrestling Federation. Is that right?
Yeah, we were going to start something. They had, Jack's one of those guys to where, if I couldn't find a book and I could call him, he would find me a spot, and then Shane had just taken over, and we had just did a show to where me and Marcus Woodrow was there together, and we kind of did a thing back in the day where it was me and Plunkett and then the Carnies, but it wasn't the Carnies at that point.
Gotcha.
They were still Team IOU, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
And so we did a thing where us four was kind of a stable with Marcus as our mouthpiece.
Oh man, gotta love that. And,
it was good times. I mean, great times. We had so much heat, but they loved us too. So it was kind of weird. But so Shane had asked me, Buzzy, what's going to take for you to get to come down here more? And I told him, I was like, well, Shane, I will come down there as long as it means something. I said, but if y'all just going to have me come down there and beat somebody up, then I soon stay home. I live 2 hours away from Tullahoma. I was like, I'd soon go home. I mean, not that I don't want to come down there and beat somebody up.
Sure.
At what point does the crowd say, well, we know what's going to happen here?
Right.
Right. So it's like, come on, put me in something that means something. So they did a deal to where I won a battle royal, which was basically their version of Money in the Bank, to where I could challenge for any belt at any point in time. So I chose Danny's belt, and it just, things got to where, I couldn't go, I couldn't be there. Danny couldn't be there, and it just kind of fell apart. But, Dan, I love working with Danny. I mean, he's an easy guy to work with.
Yeah.
Wrestle, excuse me. If Gypsy Joe heard me say work with, he'd come out of his grave and beat me up. But yeah, I mean, I love Danny. I mean, there's not too many people I don't like that I haven't worked with. And if I didn't like them, I told them. So you know.
Yeah, no doubt. Have you? Well, so that was in 2023, and I saw that it was the last match that was listed. Are you still kind of open to other opportunities?
No, I mean, I wrestle every month for Ox Harley and
okay, cool.
But
cool.
That's just Big Bad John.
Big Bad John. Yeah.
So that, and then I do go to. I still go to Evansville for Johnny and Kayla Richards. I do still go up there once a month or whenever he runs. And then I'll do a few. I wrestle here at Gladeville for PWA some. You know, but I don't do too much, man. I'm as I like to say, I'm Rick Reynolds old now, so I don't.
Oh man, are you BC Rick Reynolds old, or are you AC Rick Reynolds old now? That's bad funny. Question.
And only a few people understand that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I don't want to put you on the spot there, but
I'm just old, man. I'm just old. I don't even know if I'm,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, I mean, I don't really want to get away from wrestling too much, but we do have some quick questions. We always like to throw people near the end of the episode. So, hey, DJ, hit that music.
Hell yeah, that's the pro wrestler. Hell yeah, that's the pro wrestler. Hell yeah, that's the pro wrestler. Hell yeah, that's Dundee.
Jared, why don't you ask the very first one?
Tell us about maybe the craziest guy you've ever been around or worked with in the business.
Well, craziest guy, I would have to say Joe. In all honesty, Gypsy.
Yeah.
I'd known Joe before I broke in though, because I used to bring him some of the Lord's or devil's lettuce, however you want to look at it. However you want to look at it, But I used to bring him some to Gallatin. So before I ever even broke in, I was on the cusp of training, but I wasn't like fully into it. So, but Joe, by all means, I mean, there's not a man that at 70 years old that could still, that I still wasn't afraid that could snatch me up and beat me up. So.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That says a lot, man.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Joe's a very popular topic on all of my podcasts, obviously, but Joe is just a consistent guy when it comes down to the crazy element, because and it's not that he's crazy, it's his way of thinking, but sometimes it's just not the same way that you think, right? I mean,
right, exactly.
So this one is kind of a deep question here. What would you right now tell a young Buzz starting out? If you were, let's say you're Rick Reynolds to him now, what would you tell Buzz about just wrestling?
That's not for everybody.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I read, well, it's just not, know that there's going to be more sacrifices than anything. And you got to go into it with an open mind and be willing to learn. I don't care what you've watched on TV. I don't care what you've played on any gaming system. You got to, because, a lot of guys, say, well, I've been playing WWE video games for 10 years. I know what to do. Like, yeah, whatever, shut up.
Take that flat back.
Yes. Just do it. I would give myself advice that Tracy gave me that I didn't follow through with, and it's probably one of my. If I had any regrets in the business, this would be one of them, and that's I never really took it serious as far as getting in the gym and getting my body right. taking care of myself. I mean, I'm broke down and I've got back problems now. I've got, knee issues, that's just compounded, and just take care of yourself, do it the right way. Get in the gym, take care of your body, listen, just do better than I did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, that's kind of the idea. Like, it's almost like if you have a son that's about to get into wrestling, what are you going to tell him? I mean, don't do it.
Yeah. I'm very fortunate. Yes. I'm very fortunate that I have kept my daughter away, which she hates it anyway. I mean, she'll go watch if she has to, depending on if the building's got good Wi-Fi or not, or good cell service.
Right.
But I've been very fortunate that she wants nothing to do with it, and I have not pushed her towards it or away from it. She doesn't want anything to do with it, and I'm happy. So
yeah. How old is she now?
She is 18. She graduates next month.
Brother, where's she go to school at?
Trousdale County. She lives with me full time. So
That's cool. Yeah, my son lives in Nolansville. He's about to graduate next year, so that's cool. So
yes.
Yeah. Go ahead and ask the next question, Jared.
All right, this is an opinion question, but so it's Super Bowl or WrestleMania?
If they were on the same night and you had to choose, no DVRs or anything like that, what would you pick?
Depending on the card, but it would solely depend on the main event of WrestleMania, not 1 or 2.
Right.
And it would honestly depend on who's in the Super Bowl.
Okay, fair enough.
If the Titans are in the Super Bowl, it's the Super Bowl.
Amen. Yeah, me too.
I have Peacock, so I can watch the replay of WrestleMania.
This question worked better when there wasn't DVR and streaming and stuff like that. But still,
I would still probably pick Super Bowl just because I'm a huge football fan. Wrestling's in my blood. But if you'd have asked a younger me pre-wrestling, I'd have probably said WrestleMania.
Okay, gotcha.
But being smartened up and being I do watch WrestleMania, but I watch it. I mainly just see where they're going to see if I called it right in my head.
Right.
What they did. So that's kind of. I guess I watch it through a trained eye now instead of a fan's eye. I'm still a fan. I've always been a fan.
Right. Because if you take the veil away and you kind of know now, okay, I see what they're doing there. Are they really doing that? I don't. But. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think I would probably still lean WrestleMania, but again, if the Titans are in the Super Bowl, I'm watching that. It doesn't matter. So.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'll be the first one to admit, I teared up when Cody finished his story just because that was some great. That was some great storytelling right there. I mean, for 2 years, it was great. Just and it's not done. I mean, it's there's still more to that. That's if you don't like wrestling right now, then something's wrong. Quit watching it.
yeah, because it's the best it's ever been in a long time since we were kids, man.
Most definitely. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this one's an interesting one, and we had a good question with this one with Plunkett, and I thought, man, this would make a good one for you too. What are some of your wrestling pet peeves? Whether it's something that you've done that you just wish you could have never done again, or if it's just something that you see currently that just drives you up the wall.
Just guys in the back going through they have a they have a 10-minute time limit. And you're sitting there listening to them, and they've done called 30 minutes worth of stuff.
Right.
And it's like recently in Rockwood, I went up to two guys. Actually, I didn't go up to them. I just yelled at them in the locker room. They were on first. They had a 6-minute time limit. And now Ox runs his time limits from music to music, not from bell, not from bell to bell, from entrance to entrance. So from the first entrance until the bell, you got 6 minutes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So get in there, you know, go out, make your heels, get in the ring, get your heat in the ring. Baby faces, go around, do your high fives. Unless you're boogie, then, you know, you can go kiss everybody in the crowd. And,
right.
But I remember these guys, and they just kept calling stuff. And I stopped them, and I was like, guys, you got 6 minutes. I've done sat here and heard y'all call 20 minutes worth of stuff. You know, I said, guys, I'm just trying to help y'all, because if you go over your time, that man's coming back here and probably not going to pay you.
Right.
You know, just straight up. You know, I said, because I said, this building costs money by the hour, not by the event. You know, I mean, you pay a certain fee, but every armory is only until 10 o'clock. Anything after 11 o'clock, you have to start paying per hour. You know, and so it's like, learn how to work. You know, learn how to work. That's one of my biggest pet peeves is, and I'm one of those guys. Sometimes I have to go over a few things, but my few things are, hey, you know, this is what we're going to do. This is the end product. We can get here. We can get there by doing this, and this. That's all we need.
Yeah.
You know, because you have to also be able to, you may get out there and have a bunch of stuff called, and the people don't want to see that. They want to see comedy. You know, so you have to be able to ad-lib and go away. You know, you have to be able to go away from what you got in your head. So you have to know how to work. And I was very fortunate to break in when I did, and I was taught how to work, you know, and I'm very thankful for that, because
no doubt.
I probably wouldn't be where I am today without that. You know, I couldn't, because I can't remember nothing. I'll tell you. I was like, I'll tell them, whoever I'm working with. I mean, we can call a bunch of stuff, but I'm going to forget it. You know, I'll tell you now.
Right,
you know, I know what we're going to do for the finish, but everything else out there, I go by what the people want to see.
Right.
You know, and I think that's why I've been able to do as good as I have here in the latter years of my career, because I don't call a bunch of stuff. Probably, and then just guys being stupid. You know, just breaking kayfabe. You know, just. I mean, look, everybody knows that. You know, it's a work. It's, you know, it's story. It's entertainment. But there's still, you know, to bring up Rick one more time. You know, he told me years ago. You know, it's all BS, but it's BS, and then it's believable BS.
Right.
You know,
right.
You have to make them. They want to believe. You know, they do. They know it's entertainment, but they still want to believe that, you know, that I'm actually knocking your head off.
Right.
You know, so make it look that way, you know, and by all means, it's supposed to be a fight. You know, another thing Rick told me the first night I met him, because that was my first match. I wrestled for Porter. I wrestled for, I tagged with Jamie, and I worked Hammerjack and Rick Reynolds, or Forsaken at the time.
Gotcha.
And I remember after the match, Kevin Jones took me up, introduced me to Rick, and I asked him, Rick, is there anything I need to work on? And the only thing brother said to me, your punches are horrible. You know, your punches are horrible. It's supposed to be a fight. You need to throw punches like you're in a fight. You know, and I spent the next year bouncing my fist off of Mikey Woods' head until I wrestled Rick one time later after that, and he told me about a year later, and he told me that my punches were 1,000% better than they were the first night he met me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, dude, what a mentor, man. That's incredible. Yeah.
I have a father, great man. Wouldn't be the man without him. But Rick Reynolds, if you could have two father figures in life, Rick Reynolds would be my second father figure for sure.
Yeah. Love you, Rick. So the next one I have is this one's kind of wide open here. Now, it can be in wrestling, but it can also just be in life. Like, what are some items that are on your personal bucket list that you still want to accomplish, even if it's not wrestling at all, whatever it is?
I want to travel more. Wrestling kind of put that bug in me as well. I mean, I've seen a lot of the country that I would not have seen without wrestling.
Yeah.
More traveling. I'm in a point in my life to where, you know, my weekends are, I wrestle maybe once or twice a month. That's about it. And so the other weekends I like getting on the road and going. So traveling more. I want to get more out west. I've been as far west as Texas.
Okay.
But hadn't been no further. So I definitely want to get out west. I'd like to see Vegas. I'd like to see the other ocean. I think is it the Atlantic or the Pacific, whichever one's out west.
Yeah, Pacific.
I get it confused. Pacific. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I've seen the Gulf. I've seen the Atlantic. So I do want to see the Pacific Ocean. I just think to be able to say that I've seen all the surrounding bodies of water would be, it's definitely a bucket list.
That's cool, man. That's cool. What about in wrestling? What would you say? More
wrestling. I mean, there's not really much more I want to do. I see all these young guys cutting these promos about how it's their time, and they can see the sunrise on their career, and I'll put it out there right now. I can see the sun setting.
Yeah. Okay.
I can. So I mean, I don't know. My next match may be my last match. I don't know. It just depends on how I feel when I get out of the ring.
Yeah.
But I had the opportunity. I was working with Larry Cooter for Ox just a couple of months. For about 6 months, we did a little program, and I could have honestly ended it at the end of that, but it wasn't. It was meant for it to go another way instead of the way I tried to get it to go. So it was meant for me to stay in and not go out. But I would have been fine with ending it right there.
That's a great perspective to have, actually, and have that much foresight on how things are, and if things are good, man, no need to make it bad, right? I mean,
yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah. So how is working with Ox, man? I mean, I know it's so funny. I've heard Ox's name so many times doing the Wolfie D podcast. Obviously, we know why. But I mean, it's like actually Jamie's fault that started if you watch that match. But how is it working with Ox, man? Have you enjoyed doing that?
I do. Man, me and Ox met in Evansville. He was one of the guys that actually Jamie brought in, I believe. Not really for sure how he got there, but I remember meeting Ox, and he was just always, just straight up, hey guys, I'm just a soldier.
Right.
Whatever y'all need, I'll do it. And so I've kind of adapted that mentality. But Ox is one of those guys that I consider a friend, in the business, and but working for him has been really one of the, I started working for him in 2014, and I rode up with Plunkett and just get out of the house. I just got back from the circus, and I was kind of out of it, and Plunkett was like, I called Plunkett, and, man, what are you doing this weekend? Well, I got Maryville. You want to ride up? Yeah, sure, I'll ride up with you. Whose show is it? Ox's. So I brought my stuff.
Yeah.
That was one thing I was taught, always take your stuff, I knew I wasn't on the card, but I took my stuff, and, Ox come out, and he was outside and pulled up, and Ox said, "You want to work?" And he said, "I'll be honest with you, Buzzy." He said, "I could probably buy you a Big Mac, and he's like, I ain't got nothing else. It's like, if you want to work, I got a match for you, but I don't the pays." He said, "I could probably buy you a Big Mac meal from McDonald's." And I said, "Ox, you're always good to me at the Coliseum. So, brother, if you need a guy, I'll do it." And
right, yeah.
And but then I remember Plunkett was running his locker room at that time, and he sends the card back down, and Plunkett comes to me. Of course, I'm dressed, Plunkett comes to me and goes, "You're not on the card." I was like, "What? Why would he tell me to get dressed if I'm not on the card?" So anyway, Ox comes back down, and Plunkett goes, "Hey man, you don't have Buzzy on the card?" And he goes, "Yeah, right there, Big Bad John." And I was like, Plunkett looked at me, and I looked at him, and I was like, okay, and I didn't understand it at the time until later. Ox explained it to me. He was like, "Buzzy," he said, he's like, I got lawyers' offices and councilmen as some sponsors. He said, I can't have a guy named Buzzed Up on my card. And I was like, okay. And then, and then he kind of smartened me up of how many bookings that he know personally that I had lost because of the name. And I was like, wow, I did not know that.
Right.
Kind of put, but I never really promoted myself as that.
Right.
As that kind of character.
Of course.
Not until I went to Evansville.
Right.
Because I was very adamant on how they spelt my name. Whoever I worked for, I was very adamant about how they spelt it. Because I didn't want to promote that. I didn't want to promote that. It was just a gimmick. So I had a lot of places that would spell that would call me Buzzed Up.
Right.
And I'm like, no, that's not what it is.
Right.
Say it like it's two names.
It's a play on words. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember there was people in the business that years later did not realize what it was until they were sitting around one day. And I remember I got a phone call from Sex Kitten Kathy. I remember I got a phone call, and she was just rolling laughing, and she was like, "I get it now." I told she was like, she understood, and I was like, yeah, I didn't want to promote that back then. I wasn't trying to, promote that, and I still don't really.
Right.
I mean, if you know, but if you didn't, I sure, so.
Dude, it was my favorite name. But to be honest, and I've said this a million times, and I'm going to say something to you in a minute that's going to be real here, but one of the things is I was buzzed up at the time pretty heavily. Right. And a lot of people didn't even know that about me because I was in active addiction. I was playing the part, man. I was a very much a functional addict, as they say, right? And even though I really wasn't a functional addict. And we know that, when you really look back on things, you think, man, I was barely alive at that point, like you said in the show. And the name clicked with me immediately. I was like, dude, that's awesome. And we never partied together or anything, but I always knew the story, man, yeah. So that's when the Big Bad John name officially started, is with Ops. Yes. Okay, cool.
And all honesty, that was probably the best. I made more money off of gimmicks, made more money off an envelope, being that. I can't keep shirts, now,
right.
So it's crazy that's that actually changed. I still do buzz like around here because this is where I'm known. This is what I'm known for in this area, in the Middle Tennessee area. Is buzzed up. But anywhere else, I normally do Big Bad John just to get away from all that. But now it seems like that's the cool thing to be because it's kind of more acceptable now than it was back then.
Right. That's a very good way to say that, actually. Yeah. So, kind of leading on to the end of the podcast here, the question, that we always ask, and this is a tough one, and it may be a couple of matches, but what would you say overall would be your favorite match or favorite matches? And you can have as many as you like. Just what would you say?
One of the top, I guess I would have to say probably one of the early matches that I had was with Scott Spade for CCW in Chicago, the top that match. It was one of those matches to where, Jimmy, going into it that it's something special, and then everything clicked. Everything that needed to click, and everything that you had to make a hard right clicked.
Yeah.
And I remember we opened the show. We were first, and it was for Scott's regional title at the time. And, so we had called a few things in the back, and, and I knew, but everything clicked. And when the finish went down, and I don't remember the finish, Scott says he has the match, and, hopefully he'll send it or post it or something. But I just remember once the 3 count went down, it was just one of those, man, I was smiling because everything clicked, and the crowd was, we had them, and we had them. And I just remember walking through the curtain. Now, that show was at the Fox Lake, Illinois American Legion, which was the very first show that me and Mikey worked at. And the boys dressed upstairs above the bar. There was a bar attached to it, just like most American Legions has a bar attached to it.
Right.
But I remember walking up, going through the curtain, and I gave out a big, Ric Flair woo, and I'm walking up the steps. And I'm feeling it, and I'm walking up the steps, and I was like, I dare anybody in this locker room to top that, to do what we just listen to this crowd. I mean, the people were still going, after we were out, it topped that. And that one, and so many more. There was the last time, 2015, I worked with Tracy for Ox, and that match meant a lot to me because I actually got to cut a promo before the match, and it was just one of those promos to where, it was like I told Tracy, I said, I'm not the same starry-eyed kid that was picking you up at exit 35 and driving you to Evansville. I've matured, and it's just that one, that match meant a lot to me. I don't really know about favorite matches. I got a lot of matches that mean a lot, looking back, that meant a whole lot to me over the years, so.
That's cool. Yeah, man. I mean, dude, it's hard. And then, like, you'll get off the phone and you'll be like, oh, man, there was that one I forgot about. But it's like, we'll get that one in part 2.
Yes, right, most definitely.
Yeah, so definitely want to thank you for coming on, brother. It's been an honor to have you on, and I'm sorry it took so long. But before we go, I want to talk about the upcoming Muletown Mania Fan Fest that's happening just after the Right Way reunion. That's May 11th. I think doors open for the Fan Fest at 2:30, and then, of course, there's the TriStar Wrestling that night at 6 o'clock. I'm hoping to see you there, right? You're going to be there.
Unfortunately, no.
Man.
I have a booking. Ox's show is that night, and I could possibly make it to the reunion. It's just going to make it a very, very hard day for me because I live 2 hours from Columbia. So but I'm still trying to make it make sense in my head.
Sure.
So if you're going to be at the reunion, possibly. But I will not be at the Fan Fest and the show that night.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's understandable. Yeah.
So, but I hate this is to be the first Right Way that I possibly will not be able to attend, and that bothers me because those are my peers. Everybody that's part of that reunion, are guys that showed me the way, that took a chance on a guy that wasn't properly trained. I mean, I was trained, don't get me wrong, but I was never really showed how to take moves. I was always the bigger guy in the class, so I can give you a move. I can give you a heck of a backdrop, heck of a hip toss, heck of an arm drag. Plunkett's even told me I've got a real nice arm drag. I did have. I don't throw them to me, more, but I can give you moves. But taking moves, I was never really shown how. I mean, I learned, but it was guys like Rick Reynolds, Tommy Higgy, Ben Jordan, Shane Morton, guys like that really that didn't just beat me up and write me off. Lone Star, I credit Lone Star for a lot because, like I said, I met him in Gallatin and just kind of followed, just everywhere he was there. He would eventually either show up or he was already there when I got there, but Lone Star, Lone Star's a guy that really helped me out a whole lot. Even at Porter's when I first got there, helped me out a whole lot, just giving me advice and kind of pointing me in the right direction with who I needed to talk to about getting to where I wanted to be, there. And so, him for sure. But
Yeah, that's cool, man. Man, I tell you, I can't think, like the guys I think of, like Shane Morton, of course, helped me out a lot, but working at Porter's there for the first time, Aaron Camaro got me the booking. I'd been doing the Omar gimmick in Virginia, a little bit in North Carolina, not a lot. It's like 5-6 shows. Then I come to Nashville out there with my band and I meet Aaron Camaro, and then I get my foot in the door in Nashville and end up doing the whole thing like we all did out there. But, guys like Shane Morton, guys like Arvil and Tommy and Rick Reynolds, and I mean, these guys that you just are around, Tim Renesto, Jeff Daniels. I mean, all these guys that you're around and you're just like, my God, these guys are legit, man. These are not. This is so many of these guys are playing wrestler. Those guys are wrestlers. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know, man. And then Plunkett, of course, it's so funny. I related. So I'm pretty much the same age as you, man. I'm going to be 46 in November. And it's just funny how I related more to Plunkett's crowd because they were kind of in the business about the same time I had been in the business, around 2008 or so. And it's just funny how you relate to people, even though they're 10 years your junior, and
yes,
I'm sure you felt that too,
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Plunkett still messes with me about. He'll tell me, he's like, I used to watch you when I was growing up.
Shut up, man. That ain't cool.
But I hit him with it a while back. He said, that hurts. I said, yeah.
Yeah, buddy. Exactly.
Yeah. So,
man, well, we are going to be at the reunion. It sucks because Plunkett and you now, it sounds like we're not going to get to see, but hopefully maybe we'll get to see down the pass. But we are doing a live Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast from the reunion. It's going to be with the Devils, the Mortons, and the Wild Boys. And they've even announced a big-time 14-man match. That's going to...
Oh, my God.
I know, man.
When you ask Ben Jordan about working me and Tim Brown in the boxing ring for Terry Rice in a Mexican bar, in a Mexican restaurant that had a bar in it.
I mean, I'll ask you that.
Well, so we get there, right? And now me and Tim Brown at the time was doing the Nazi terror gimmick.
Yeah.
Under the mask.
Right.
So we get there, Terry Rice comes out, and he introduces us to this Sweet Georgia Brown is what he called her. Beautiful black girl. I mean, beautiful, voluptuous. Anyway,
right.
Yeah. And so he's like, she's going to be y'all's manager. And I was like, that's kind of messed up, right? We're not, and anyway.
Right.
So we don't know that, like, we just think it's a ring. So we get in there, and I remember Ben gave me a hip toss or something, and I bumped. And I mean, it was like hitting the floor. If you ever, a boxing ring and a wrestling ring are two totally different rings.
Right.
A boxing ring is very, very stiff. And I hit that floor, I hit that mat, and I was just like, he was like, Ben was like, what's wrong with you? I said, here, take this hip toss and you'll see. Anyway, we did. He's like, yeah, that ain't happening no more. Oh, God. It was horrible. Like, we got in the back, and I can honestly say I'm one of the few guys that can honestly say he wrestled for Terry Rice on a show that Terry Rice didn't cancel.
Wow. Okay.
He was notorious for booking the show, and then a week or two before the show, he was notorious for canceling the show. And I tell everybody when they start telling Terry Rice stories, I'm like, well, I can't really, I actually wrestled for him. I can't really knock him for that. He actually ran the one show he booked me on. So, but
I experienced it, actually. It was real,
Yeah, it was real. Rain sucks, but it was real.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, golly, man. Well, Buzz, it's been awesome to have you on, brother. Thank you for doing this with us. It's been funny, like I was just thinking about how you were talking about how, guys that, you'll have a guy booked and then they'll drop off and you'll have to book somebody else and you'll ask, did you bring your gear? Well, thank God that didn't happen on this one. And we didn't have to ask you to bring your gear. You had it with you, and you were actually the first guy we asked. So we're good.
Good deal. I keep my gear in my car.
I love it. I love it. But it does translate to this podcast stuff. Yeah, there you go.
I take it in after each show and wash it, and then take it right back out and put it in the car so I know where it's at. And,
Did you hear that, y'all? Did you hear what he just said? And I'm not saying you were known as a stinky guy. I'm not saying that, but there are some stinky guys out there.
The washing the gear. Oh, most definitely. If I stink, it's probably because I smell like a skunk more than more than body odor. So that was probably the only thing people could complain about me, back in the day. So but I used to tell everybody all the time, you'd probably rather wrestle me like this than wrestle me sober because, if I'm sober, I'm liable to get nervous and hurt you.
And that fit the gimmick.
Yeah, it did. It did. Back then, it did.
Yeah, right.
Back then, for sure. So.
Yeah. Well. So, where can people find you online, brother? Where can they follow you?
Facebook, Big Bad John Wrestler, Pro Wrestler, I think it is. Jason Stafford is my shoot name on Facebook. Don't be upset if I don't accept you. I don't accept everybody on that page because that is a personal page. But
sure.
I'm on Instagram as Faith's Dad.
Okay.
And then that's pretty much it. I got Snapchat, but I don't give that. Snapchat's for fun and not really anything serious. So,
right. Exactly. Yeah. That makes sense. Well, Buzzy, thank you for coming on, brother. We'll have you on for a part 2 coming down the line. But, man, I just appreciate you. And I wanted to say this. And before we went, I didn't – there was a time in my life where I was definitely, like you've talked about in this show, not doing the right things, walking down a ugly path in a very dark period of my life. And I had borrowed some money, and I was supposed to supply something that is not illegal. I was writing a song, and it seemed like when I got the money from a friend, I did wrong things, and then the process for what I was supposed to do took longer than it should have, and then things fell apart. And I realize now that when you're not doing the right thing, it never turns out right. Right? I mean, it never does.
Correct.
And so one day I was online and you said something about it, and nobody had said anything about it, and you put it out there. You were like, man, pay that dude his money back. And I'm like, oh man, dude, it's out there.
Right.
And then I went incognito from everything. I deleted everything and went under I was like, man, nobody's seeing me anymore. And I just want you to say that I appreciate the friend that you were to our mutual friend for saying that. And if it did not click with me that it was the right thing to do to take care of the thing that I needed to take care of, I want you to feel like that maybe that pushed the rock over the cliff and started it rolling in the right path. So I know I've never said this to you, but I do appreciate those little words you said on there, even if it was just a little bit of a smack in the face. It was the right thing to do.
Sometimes we need that smack in the face. Sometimes
definitely.
We need.
Yeah.
So the only way you're a true friend to anybody is to be able to tell them what they don't want to hear.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah. It's some of the hardest things we have to hear is about ourselves.
Right. Amen.
And I mean, so I have been that horrible friend I've been that co-signer on a lot of things back in my day. With those, just co-signing because that's what the cool thing to do.
Of course.
And, later on, it was, and I actually called that mutual friend after I said that, and I apologized. I was like, man, I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have said that, but, I hit send before I could stop myself.
Dude, yeah.
They were like, no worries, it is what it is at that point, and then, but they did tell me later that things were made right, and, that I'm glad that I could be that guy,
You were a catalyst
at that point in time, right?
Yes.
I'm glad I could be that catalyst for you at that time, and because Lord knows I've needed that catalyst from time to time myself.
Yeah, man. And then, you got to realize that too, that's the thing. Sometimes we don't.
And honestly, that catalyst has been that mutual friend.
Yeah.
Several times.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I mean, I haven't really hid my story, but when it comes down to it, I was doing wrong. I knew I was doing wrong. And when you sometimes know it and you're living in it, you can kind of sit in it. It's almost like sitting in that Jamie's fart. You got to bathe in it to realize you're doing wrong, and then I saw that and I was like, man, it's out there. That means the story's out there. That means the whole deal's out there. And that means, and I went the wrong way with it. It wasn't like I immediately said, you know what, Buzzy told me, he's right and I'm done. It wasn't that immediately. But once it got there.
Sit in that stink for a little while.
Exactly.
Sit in that stink, so to speak. That's what we'll put it as,
Exactly.
I've had to sit in that too. Believe me, like I said, that some of the hardest pills we have to swallow are the ones about ourselves.
Amen. And it needed to get in the way of the other things I was swallowing. So we'll say that. But right. Man, you're the best, bro. And I appreciate you coming on. I've always wanted to say that to you. I thought about sending that to you in a message, but I was like, no, I'm going to get him on the show and give him his flowers for that one. Because, it showed me what a good friend is that you are to Jeremiah, to Plunkett, and it showed me that I was like, man, I need to be a good friend to this guy because he did this on good faith. It wasn't like I said, hey, bro, let me borrow this. It was for a purpose, and I'm just happy that it all got back to where it was supposed to be. But, Plunkett's a forgiving dude, much more than we deserve, but
most definitely. I think I still got some DVDs that I lost back in the day that I'll never be able to get back to them because, they were things that, and he's wrote it off and still loves me. So that's all I can ask for.
That's all you can ask for, brother. Thank you so much, Buzzy. Appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys. Y'all take care and stay in touch for sure.
All right, man. See you, buddy.
All right, yes, sir.
That's right, it's the talk of Middle Tennessee, the channel you love to hate and the channel you hate to love. It's Brian Turner from Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. And if you're looking for matches from Wolfie D to Jerry Lawler to Dusty Rhodes and the team that put a pimp before your eyes and a goatee between your thighs, Booty Call and Athena, go to lostwrestling.com. See, I made it easy for you. Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. Booyah.
This is your rock star ring announcer, Aaron Camaro. I'm a man who believes the two greatest art forms ever created are professional wrestling and heavy rock music. So when I'm not hosting the best parties that also happen to be live professional wrestling shows, I'm hosting the Decibel Geek Podcast. Decibel Geek is a weekly podcast that features discussions of all things rock. We're talking the Beatles, the Stones, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, Black Sabbath, Kiss, Ozzy, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Alice in Chains, Pantera, and everything in between. Plus, we'll turn you on to new bands from today that have the same spirit and style that the legends do. Decibel Geek is hosted by myself along with Rockin' Pod founder Chris Sinzak, and each week you'll get interviews with famous musicians and industry insiders along with informative, entertaining, humorous, and insightful discussions, and most importantly, a passion for the music. So if you love to rock out as much as I do, then this is your invitation to the greatest rock and roll party in all of podcasting. It's Decibel Geek, and it's available right now on all major podcast platforms. Oh yeah!
Oh, Sheik, another great episode with Buzzed Up. That was awesome, man. A lot of fun.
Yeah, man, loved it. It was a good time, and loved hearing getting to ask the Jamie Dundee story, and man, I can just imagine, man.
I know. Good thing we're not like a smell podcast.
Yeah.
Like you can't smell the podcast story. Yeah, but anyway, that had to be brutal enough. And like Buzz just told it so well, because the fart happens and then Shane is throwing up in his hands.
Throw up at the window.
Chucking it out the window and coming right back in. I mean, if you remember on the school bus, like the windows would be down and somebody would spit out it, end up coming back in later in the back. But yeah, man, that's crazy. Golly, I can't imagine.
And Jamie just died laughing.
He's dying. Yeah. Well, what? It's just a little old popcorn fart.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Anyway, well, we thank you, Buzzy. Definitely appreciate you. Got to get you back on sometime in the future. But, other than that, we do have some stickers we're going to be bringing with us to the Muletown Mania Fan Fest. We just got them in today, and they are the official image of the podcast. So nothing too fancy other than just that image. And we got a whole bunch of them we're going to be giving away at the Fan Fest. So hopefully y'all get to see us there. And if you don't, that's your fault. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. It's your fault.
But, anyway, well, the next episode, I'm not 100% sure who we have. The dates have not been lined up. Times have not been figured out. Couple options there, but two very strong options right now. If we don't get the one, we'll get them on the next one. But yeah, man, it's coming up now. So we've got one episode, and then the episode after the Fan Fest will be the live podcast that we record there, and that will be with the Devils, the Mortons, and the Wild Boys. And so if you don't live in the area and you didn't see us live, you'll get to hear it on the other side. So it'll be good. You'll get to hear it at least. But I tell you, if you have the opportunity, if it's an hour, 2 hour drive, it is absolutely worth it to see this in person, because this is going to be maybe a one-time only affair for all three tag teams together, and that you don't want to miss that. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. But again, that's the Muletown Mania Fan Fest. Again, Saturday, May 11th, Columbia, Tennessee, at the Armory, and it's great. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Wrestling that night, TriStar Wrestling, Mike Jablonski's company, just all kinds of fun stuff. Make a day of it.
I'm looking forward to it myself. So
yeah, absolutely. Anyway, well, as always, give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at GMBMPW. Also, coming up Monday on the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast, we have Black Bart on there. Very excited for everyone to get to hear that. Yeah, we just had Marcus Dupree. That was a lot of fun, man. Fun little interview with Marcus. That was cool, man. That was just kind of out of nowhere, too. I was like, holy cow, this guy's really, pretty famous dude,
Yeah. So. Unfortunately for Marcus, his injuries couldn't have stayed away, because I truly think he would have been an NFL Hall of Famer and everything like that. I really do. He was an amazing talent that, it just shows sometimes like being a Hall of Famer or something like that, you got to have a little luck involved to avoid the injury bug. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what a fun guy to know and get to know, and definitely appreciated him coming on the show. But back to us. Just next episode's going to be incredible. Either way we go, y'all just keep a lookout, and then after that, you'll get to hear the live podcast from Muletown Mania Fan Fest. But again, don't make that the reason you don't come to the show, because that's where it's going to be. Make a day of it. 2:30 to heck, as long as the wrestling goes, probably 10 o'clock or so, and you don't even have to leave the building. You can stay there all day. You'll have a fun day. So anyway, but other than that, Sheik, you got anything else, man?
I just appreciate all the listeners, and I appreciate all you do for the podcast, man.
Hey, ditto right back at you, man. We thank you, and we thank you all, and thank you all for listening. Have a good day. We'll see y'all next time on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Don't forget,
I got my balls to my butthole, yeah. Oh my God, what did I do?
with a tear in my eye. This is the greatest moment in my life.
We'll see you later.
This has been a James Rock Street production.